Alright guys, we're going to do the Mid-Atlantic match breakdown. I just shot this match yesterday, so I'm going to try to get this cut together fast and get it up quick so that you can see my thoughts on my shooting kind of in real time here.
Are you ready? Stand by.
So, on this load, this is going to end up being, getting ammo into the gun ends up being like the biggest issue with my whole match. You can see right here, I get this insert done pretty well, but then I go to slip off and go for the rack a little bit too soon. I don't seat this mag, so I have to double tap it again right there. And that was, I knew I was a little behind the curve there, and then that probably opened up my vision a little more than it should have. So I missed this last plate on the end down here. Have to pick it up. Missed that right. First shot on this dropout was a little bit deep left, so there's a Charlie, and then you can kind of see I tracked the gun over to the right spot right there, like, oh crap, there's the alpha. Then picked this up before going on to the last target and got 2 alpha on that. So a couple errors there. I think it ended up being like a decent percentage on this stage. It's not a crazy valuable stage or anything, but you see a little bit of problems there right off the get-go. The loading is the bigger one that ends up being like a repeated issue throughout the match. Alright, so this stage ends up being the most costly of the match in terms of points dropped against my competitor, Mr. Max. All this is good up to here. Pickup shot there I don't love. And now we see the issue. This pendulum is really tough. So you can see I end up doing quite a bit of shooting at it, and I don't have good hits. I think I ended up having Alpha, Charlie, 2 Delta, and then 2 no-shoots on that one that's in the middle. So the issue that's at play here, number one, walking this back a touch. I don't like just doing a planned 3 shots essentially on this target. Like you can see my body's still moving a lot. This is one of the harder targets in the stage. And I saw the dot kind of twitch right, and I wasn't going to take a chance, so I just put a 3rd shot on it. It should be, on a stage this technically demanding, you should be practicing aiming like you want to. And it wouldn't have been a bad idea to come in and enter on this target and then shoot this one second, which I considered doing during one of my walkthroughs, but then ended up not doing it. So that part bugs me a touch. The other thing is you can see this swinger is going now. Back this up so you can see. It goes a little bit quicker if you can shoot it at this stage in the game, as you can see right there. But you actually get a full exposure. So you see this window where you can see basically the borders of the black right here where this door frame is, and from here you have a little bit less. I got talked into shooting it from here because I thought it seemed like it would be the safe play, where I thought essentially like the target on the right at least would sort of park itself right there and you could shoot it static, and then only have to contend with shooting the one target moving essentially. I thought it was going to basically pause right there. A little bit more than it is. So I ended up having to take essentially timed shots on these. You can see that second shot's a wide miss. So I know I have to take a couple extra passes. I think maybe that shot was a no-shoot. I'm really not sure. I ended up having like 1 hit on both sides of the no-shoot. I have no idea where the first one came from. I know the second hit was that second to last shot. So that ends up being a really big issue. I probably should have stuck with my original plan to shoot this from, this position over here. Mr. Phil actually went and shot everything, like clean through this target, and then doubled back over to the center and shot that thing once it was a little bit slower in the last position. And in retrospect, that would have been a good plan, but, I guess you live and you learn. I should have stuck with the original plan. I would have rather shot that on a full exposure, even if it was moving faster in retrospect, but live and learn. This is another stage that I think was executed pretty well. I got a little bit out of order down in the end. Right here, I planned to go right to left. This wasn't just an incident. You can see this one cover is pretty covered up. I wanted to make sure I drove that down, so I transitioned deep on these and shot them right to left. And right here, this is where, a little bit of over-transitioning, kind of doing things by feel. I've been trying to break this habit, of course, in training, but I zip the gun way over here and completely overshoot this tuxedo. And my plan was, of course, to shoot, target back here on the right, and then this guy, move on this guy. And that's just not what happened. So I shoot 3 shots just kind of because I'm like, oh crap, that wasn't it. So that doesn't cost me a whole lot of time in this exact scenario, but those sorts of visualization problems where you're just shooting stuff as it appears, like that will hurt you a lot later on in a situation where it matters more. This stage I had 6 Charlie. Otherwise, time-wise, like you can see my hand is a little bit tense off this draw here.
Stand by.
And another little over transition there, right, where I'm having to move my head into this window to find these targets more. And at the time I'm shooting this, I can't really see this next target, so I kind of throw my whole gun over at it. So this transition takes a little longer than it should. Moving over, play this full speed so you can see it. Reload here. That part's good. Right here I have what feels like a light round. Like I thought, like I shot this round and it felt strange, and I actually I like kind of pulled the gun back to look at it because I thought the gun didn't go back into battery or something. And then that was not the case, so I just kept shooting. And I had 6 Charlie total, and I think all of them were in that first array when I was working around this, that window with the vision barrier, which, I mean, that's the harder part, so it's kind of to be expected, but it's not like I don't work on that stuff, so it's a touch frustrating. This light round issue is one that pokes its head up again right at the end of the match. I'm going to have to probably just rebuild my match. This stage, I don't know that I could have done much better, except for, that was 3 alpha on there. I just saw the first one split the line in the black, and I wasn't going to take any chances, so I just shot another. The only thing that would bug me a little is I had Alpha Delta on this swinger back here in spite of taking 3 shots at it. And there's only 2 hits there. So I'm assuming probably this first shot most likely probably missed completely. Because the second 2 I felt were pretty well aimed. This one is what you'd call a dumpster fire, so we'll just take a look.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Perfect. Jesus fucking Christ.
I think the only thing that's applause-worthy on this stage is that I shot good points, not like they're hard targets. And then when I got to the end here, I was shooting angry. I ended up double Charlieing this target right here. I ended up with a hit basically like Charlie on either side of the A zone, just going full send.
We're finished unloading.
In the beginning here, let's break this down a little more. Grab this mag. I nail this insert again, just like on the first one. But then I kind of do like a short rack. Like I just kind of try to go like dry fire mode. Try to go too fast. You can see I just didn't pull that all the way back, and you can see the round is stuck going in right there because the actual slide didn't open all the way to close it up. So I essentially caused a double feed right there, got to about right there and realized it. And so I locked the gun open, flick it out with my finger, and then hit the slide release. You can see by how fast I clear this. This is something that happens in dry fire sometimes. The cue that I was supposed to use is, insert mag, rack the slide all the way open as 2 separate actions. Don't try to make this one fluid motion like you're trying to race the time, because the time is not that important. It's really getting the gun loaded that's important. So that's the issue. Flick, slide, grip, shoot. This reload right here, I kind of you can't really see what happens here, but I grab this and I bump it on the table, and this, you can see the corner of the mag right there in the air under the gun, right? I end up catching this right there, like under the gun in my hand, and then get it back in the gun and keep going. So between these 2 problems, it ended up costing me about 3 seconds.
Christ.
And then right here, you can see it kind of like based on how I stumble out of the zone, but I almost tripped out of the zone right here and then shot angry at the end. So at this point in the match, I'm ripe for a turnaround. I'm down about 50 points. So it's time to make something happen here. It's time to just lock it down. If I'm going to lose, I at least want to lose on my own terms and try to just shoot nothing but A's. So basically the plan here was to do 2 reloads where it wasn't strictly necessary. One about here and then one on the way up to the door. And then the swinger sequence in the back is kind of crazy. We'll look at that in a second, but I did that in completely my own way as well.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Again, a crappy reload cost me 3/4 of a second here. this part again. So when I came into this door, I was a little late on this reload, as you can see. I kind of stepped right here, and the door kind of bumped my foot, so I had to sort of push it open with my shoulder. So I'm a little bit behind the curve from where I want to be. It was supposed to be the conservative plan to come in and start on this one swinger. I should have had plenty of time here to get this, to have the gun up and aimed by like right here, and I'm just barely getting it together. So I shot 1, 2, 3 at that, sort of as it went away, zipped 2 shots in this close guy, and then because I was behind originally, I'm a little behind on this one as well. But this was the planned order, right? I wanted to go target, target, other swinger, target, and I was a little bit behind on the timing. But all the hits were there, so nothing to complain about really. The reloads are still a big issue. The actual shooting performance, strictly speaking, on this was not too bad.
Are you ready?
This is one of the better stages in the match for me, I feel. Right there I had a delta on this transition entry, another over transition. Like my intent was to shoot this stack and then start moving in this direction as I transitioned to this guy, and that caused me to just like throw the gun over there and just zip a shot on it, which was like a low delta. Pickup shot there, it's a little bit of time. So the back half of this was pretty much perfect. This is exactly how I wanted this to go, gun up and ready. Basically, like do a drag step out here. So I'm stepping, you can't see it, but I'm stepping in this direction with this foot as I'm shooting this target to make it so I can roll my weight out. Transition to here, bring my weight high to center, but basically doing a hitch step, so I'm not stopping my weight moving completely, but I'm moving more so my weight than my actual feet while I'm engaging these guys, so that I'm not totally committed to falling in this direction. I can watch for effect that I want. And then more or less a straight transition from here to this stack that's behind this banner over here. And this was full house alphas across the back. So this part was very good. There's a lot of debate about how to go about the activators on this. I ended up settling on a different plan than I wanted to do originally, but I figured out that the worst case scenario, which is what happens to me up here, ended up being better than the other plan altogether. So that was the risk, right? Is, you know, you shoot this stuff, try to just get everything on it, and even if you miss it, you just got to wait for another bob. So I felt that was a stronger plan. My other plan was to shoot. Crap. Let me go back to where I was here. Sorry. Was gonna shoot activator, low target, side bobber, and then power over to here. Shoot this same order, these 3 targets, and then step deep where you can see through the wall. This bobber right here through this opening. I figured that was still kind of a dice roll if the timing was going to be right, and you're just adding a position. So I ended up doing, you know, the regular plan, and just wasn't quite quick enough on reacting to the first target to make the timing happening for both targets. And then right here, this just bugged me a little bit. I transitioned to this target, and this was 2 alpha on here, but like if this was the line, it was like, you know, hit basically here. Like I needed an overlay to get both of them. So that bugged me a little bit, just not, you know, under transitioning, not letting the sight come all the way to the spot, almost cost me, you know, 4 points. This is a very fast-paced stage. I was pretty satisfied with my performance on this, except for 2 small details, and Mr. Max ended up humbling me on this. I thought this was a great run, and he smashed it.
Are you ready? Come on.
So the thing that I was dissatisfied with is this array back here. You can see again, I've over transitioned to this a little bit where the gun kind of like does this track over and up. That's just indicative that I'm not getting, the gun is not just following my eye, I'm throwing the gun around a lot, which on a super fast-paced stage like this is going to test that. But I had Alpha Charlie on this target. The first shot was the Charlie, and then I dragged a Delta on this target right here. You can see the gun has started to track a little bit as I zip the gun down to here. Things that I liked about this, the plan was to just rip out 8 alphas in these first couple, because you had to really move around to find the part of the target that you actually wanted to hit and not eat a bunch of Charlies. Like even in this first position, it's like you can see obviously the part that you want to hit right is like this, but you can't really, you can only see like about something like half of it. So I wanted to really bend down to where I needed to just to get the points. I didn't want to give away a bunch of Charlies right off the bat. And then I wanted to do pretty much a straight transition to this target right here as I worked in, and then just be patient to let this target show up so I can shoot this array in this direction. And that worked really good. As well as not getting trigger freeze on this. Like I've never been particularly strong at like hoser stages, strictly speaking. It's always been one of those things where I've had to Jedi mind trick myself into doing well at them by just doubling down on getting good points, and the speed is kind of a natural byproduct of that for me. So zipping across those like that is fairly satisfying. But Max ended up undercutting my time by like the better part of a second and shot better points. So, I mean, guess that's what you get. Posted this video up on Instagram yesterday. This ended up being kind of a messy performance all the way around. Again, this as you can see, all my ammo is on these barrels, and this is something that I've been working to overcome. Again, related to getting ammo into the gun. At Dragon's Cup, this sort of thing ended up costing me the match. So this was in my head a little bit. All I wanted to do was do this right. So load the gun, stay really low in a deep forward squat so I can shoot just these two targets here, and here. Then grab that mag, put it on the magnet. Reload at this point, but the reload off the magnet gets fumbled. And luckily, I dropped it kind of into my leg, so it was in a position that I could grab. So that ended up not costing me that much time, but obviously that is a catastrophic mistake that could cost you like 4 seconds or so, had that just not been quite so lucky where it fell. And it didn't really affect my shooting. That previous mistake did not affect my shooting on this part too much. The only thing I didn't like was getting into here. I shot this thing confirmation 0. Like I just got my eye to where I could see the spot, and I shot like with the dot not even in front of my eye. And I think I had a delta on that target if I remember correctly. So that bugged me a little bit. But yeah, still got to figure out how to reload the gun, I guess. Next stage is the last stage. This was probably the coolest stage of the match, and realistically probably my best performance right until I had another one of these light rounds that screwed me up for a second at the end. So let's just take a look.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Right there, pulling off this target. I thought it felt like I had a light round, and then when I whipped the gun over, I looked back at my gun, and I thought it just something didn't look right, didn't feel right, so I just checked just to make sure that I didn't have a malfunction, and then, present back out this target and finish. Other than that, I thought this stage execution was really, really good. Getting back up over these humps was pretty tough to get your footwork right. I basically was planning on, when I get to, you can see from here, right? I shoot these guys, of course, and I'm reloading over to this spot. My plan was to try to get my left foot like right here, and my right foot right here, so that I could shoot this target and this target, and then sort of take a step back in this direction with my right foot, as I engage this target right over here. And that's exactly how it went. That part was kind of technically demanding. If you didn't nail that part, it wasn't going to set you up for the motion well. And this whole stage is good, really. Except for that 1 second hitch. I really don't have any bones to pick about this performance at all. Pretty decent points. Great time up until that point.